Welcome to Inside the Chamber. I'm Nikki Anderson, the President and CEO of the Naperville Area Chamber of Commerce. Today our show will focus on success stories from entrepreneurs. People often dream of owning their own business, but few are successful. Today we'll be talking with entrepreneurs who started a business in the last few years and are realizing success. What's their secret? We'll learn that and more with our guest today.
Inside the Chamber is brought to you by presenting sponsor, Naperville Bank and Trust.
I'd like to welcome my guests for today, Susie Chang from Alfresco Booth, Terrell Cole from Dark Horse Pastries, and Mark Crabtree from Ignite Fitness. So I was saying I can eat your delicious pastries, go work out, and then smile about it at Alfresco Booth. So I'm really thrilled to have the three of you here today. We were very thoughtful on this program, and I personally have watched you guys take your vision and your dream and make it happen. And I think anybody who started their own business, I did almost 30 years ago now, knows the hard work that goes into it. So I know that your stories will inspire our viewers so that they can have a better understanding about what goes into that process, even if it's, and for most of you, it's been completely organic. I think it was just a dream that you all had. So I think the first question I'd like to ask is, what's been the biggest surprise since you started your business?
I think one of the biggest surprises is how much work it is, but how much fun it is at the same time. It's really enjoyable, and a lot of times I'll be there kind of forgetting that this is a job, and it's something that I just enjoy doing and enjoy interacting, connecting with people and helping them on their goals.
Yeah.
And to me, I always knew it would be work, and I knew I enjoyed that thing, but I didn't know how much I would enjoy having built it, and it's your own thing.
Right. Yeah, the beauty of passion, when you're passionate about what you do, somehow it doesn't seem like work. What about you, Terrell? Biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise for me was like after already transitioning from a corporate environment to doing it by yourself, completely independent, it was a lot of things fall to the wayside that you completely forget about because somebody else took care of it.
Yeah, right.
So you turn into a janitor, a light bulb fixer, a furnace repair guy, everything.
Yeah.
You know, you wear a lot of hats, and then you start cooking and baking. So it's never ending.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, which I always did anyway, take a lot of work home with you, but now even more so. And when you set yourself up for the next day, surprisingly enough, things kind of fall into place, but then they don't. So it keeps you sharp.
So every day is a surprise.
Every day is a surprise, and I would say I'm a lot more on my toes than I always was before. So because you never know what's going to happen. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think too you have this appreciation for what you, even though what you had before in the world of corporate when we all worked for some other people, there is that appreciation that you didn't have to worry about it. But when it's your own, you do it your own way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool too. Susie, what about you? What's been your biggest surprise?
I would have to say that when I first started my business, I realized that there was obviously a lot of things that I need to learn about in terms of running a business, you know, and I knew that I would grow a lot this past year just by learning those things. But what the biggest surprise came to me was through my own personal development, and I actually feel more like myself now than I have in a long time. Like I just really feel like I've just kind of come into my own through a lot of the challenges that I faced this past year, and I've had a lot of fun and a lot of trial and error and, you know, ups and downs, but all in all, I feel really connected, you know.
Wonderful. So the next question is, have you guys always had a dream of having your own business? Because I will tell you, I was in 7th grade and I had a business. So I've always loved the idea of doing my own thing. Obviously, I'd like to be profitable with it, but what do you guys think? Is it something that you've always wanted to do? Is it just something that happened after an experience and you said, I'm going to go out and try it on my own? What do you think, Terrell?
Combination of both. Like I was a kid, we had lemonade stands. I sold football pencils in school when those things were popular, football cards, anything, you know, to try to increase what I had to make my lunch money more than what my mom gave me. So it was always trying to do something outside of, I guess, what the norm was. And then for me, it was easy because there wasn't a bakery down here. There was nothing to stop me, and that's like something I'm pretty good at. So, like, all right, let's see if it could actually work.
Yeah.
And then
I'd say you're really good at it.
work in progress still, levels keep getting better and better every day. But it's I've always wanted to own my own business. When I was younger, looking forward, I never really saw it any other way.
That's great. How
You know,
about
honestly, I would say I'm an accidental business owner.
Okay.
I didn't grow up with entrepreneurial parents, and I didn't have dreams of owning my own business. And it wasn't until I married my husband where he said, do whatever you want. Whatever makes you happy, I support you in that, and my whole world of possibilities opened up.
Yeah.
So when we got married in California, we had a photo booth at our wedding, and it was like a couple months after that where a light bulb went off, and I thought, this would be a great, unique opportunity to start a business. And so I felt empowered enough to do it, and I never looked back. I just got my mindset on it, and he was like, "Okay, this is what we're doing."
That's wonderful.
So,
How about you, Mark?
Ironically, my goal was not to have my own business or my own gym. My passion is really helping people to achieve their goals, and I think there's a certain way to train people to do that. And what I found over the years is that if I really wanted to do it exactly the way I thought it should be done, then having your own business was the path to do that. And so opening a gym, I know when I interview a lot of interns and coaches, they may know early on that is their dream and their goal.
Right.
That was not mine, but that was the path to get to where I could help people the way I thought they needed help and the best way to do it.
Right. It's interesting because over my lifetime owning a business and now with the Chamber, I see a lot of failures. And the reason that I asked about, has this always been your dream, is sometimes people go, oh, I'm going to do it and I'm going to do it better, not realizing the work that's behind it. What do you think is the most important element that you need to really make it work? I'll share mine. I think it's passion. I think if you're truly passionate about what you do, whether it's helping people or delivering something that enhances an experience, or making people feel good by what they're consuming, what do you think is kind of that key that really separates those that can actually do it from those that think they can but not so much?
well, I feel from my own experience, I think it's important that your business is an extension of your personality and strengths that you already possess, because when you start a business, you have to learn so many new skills, from sales, marketing, finance, SEO, taxes, law. I mean, it's just, there's so many new things. So if it's already part of your strengths, then I think you have a better chance of success there.
I think beyond that passion, I think you have to have the willingness to learn and to know and to find people who have been successful before and try to learn from them, either through a mentorship or just by kind of mimicking them. You can have your business and think that you know what it's going to be, but then it may have to morph a little bit and change as things develop. And one of the cool things, as you described earlier, you have to be able to move on the fly and stay on your toes and be sharp. But I think we're always learning. A few years ago, it dawned on me, it was taught to me that you have to be a life learner. And you can't just settle in on one track and one path. It has to be able to be moldable to what's needed and how the best to deliver what you're good at.
Stagnation will never get you ahead, right?
Right.
There's just so many moving parts.
Yeah.
I think a little confidence without hubris would be the best way I can describe, because the restaurant industry is so volatile. And everything, it changes every day. There's something new, there's something trendy, and you can be in this spot, but 45 minutes down the road, there's something completely different. But if you're not in tune to any of that, which is the willingness to learn,
Right.
then you do become stagnant, because you're stuck in the same frame of mind, you're stuck in the same way of thinking, and the next thing you know, you're 10 years behind.
Right.
And you'll never catch up at that point.
Right.
Because you're just stuck in the same way. You have to be able to, interchange and move and this worked yesterday, but it might not work today. You give things a shot, but if it doesn't take, you have to be able to flip on a dime, because it does. Like, I know, just in my industry alone, I know it changes so quick.
Right.
So fast. One thing's hot, and the next thing you know, we don't like that anymore. It's bad for you. So let's get something else.
I love that. What do you think there's a myth out there about owning your own business? And maybe it's just things that people don't realize until you're in it. But do you think that when people look at you, I know I had heard from some people, oh, well, anybody could own a business. I would say no. So what do you think a myth that some myths are about owning your own business?
I think one of them is that immediately people will find you and
Right, and you're making a ton of money.
Yeah, sure. And you know what you're capable of, and you know what you have to offer. But then getting that message out either on a newspaper ad or a Facebook post or whatever medium you're using to translate that, it's hard to figure out what kind of message is going to get to people. And just because you have a talent or the ability to help them or to cook something good or to offer service doesn't mean that they're going to find you.
Right.
Part of the trick is getting out to find them.
I would say, to kind of piggyback on that, one of the biggest myths is that everyone is a prospect, and the truth is that everyone is the right fit. So, I've had to learn new skills on how to weed through the no's to get to the yeses and really find the right people.
And I would always say that 6 degrees of separation, maybe the person you're talking to might not be your immediate customer,
Right.
but they may, be in a conversation at a party and somebody's talking about, they're having an event and, oh, I actually met somebody and know somebody. So that's interesting. Myths, what do you think, Terrell?
I agree with the money thing.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks you're rich.
Right?
So,
Isn't that
when
amazing?
people come around, hey, I have this idea. All right, well, you better get on that. Come looking at me. I'm still working on my idea,
Let's talk about the biggest challenge that you've had with starting your own business. I mean, I think the first thing is being willing to take a risk, right? Put your money where your mouth is if this is what you want to do. I mean, I think that is part of it. But what are some of the hardest parts of business ownership? You alluded to it a little bit earlier, Terrell, and you said it's hard work. I have to be everything.
For me, staffing. Because I need a particular element to be able to work for me. Initially, I'm very controlling, but then I slowly start to back away. I have a few people who understand that, but then a lot of new people come in and they don't really get it. Like
Right.
sometimes it might come off like, well, I'm controlling everything they do. I never let them do anything. Well, that's right, man. This is because everything that comes out, it's my brand. It's has my name on it. You can't mess it up. So until I feel comfortable with you being able to do it, then I can back away. I'm not at the shop right now because the guy that's there, he can do it. I trust him. So,
Right.
but then again, he's been with me for 3 years. So it's just like the hiring part of it is always a challenge because there's so many different personalities and you have to manage each one differently. I can't manage as a group, and we work in such close proximities with everybody because the shop isn't that big, and then we're there at 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So you see people at a bunch of different stages, and if we do a flip and we're open late night or we have a party or we do an outdoor event in Chicago, they're all different environments, so they require different personalities. So everybody has to adjust to the way they do. So hiring people that can understand, like, okay, well, we're doing Last Fling, so this is what we need to do, whether I'm there or not. Or we're doing the wine festival, this is what we need to do. Or it's time to set up the shop, this is what we have to do. Oh, we have a private party. Oh, there's a cooking class today, so we need to do this. Or Terrell's doing cupcake decorating with Girl Scouts. There's everything is different, and I can't do it all. So everybody has to understand their roles. No, you show them, but it's the comprehension of what's going on that particular hour, because it does really go by hours in the
Absolutely,
shop. So.
absolutely. We're going to continue this great conversation about myths and the hardest part about owning your own business, and we're also going to touch on success. We'll be right back.
Naperville Bank and Trust has the expertise, knowledge, and experience to help you reach your business goals.
We would prefer to work with somebody like Naperville Bank and Trust. They're engaged in the community, they're able to help meet our financial needs, they understand us as a business.
They provide all the tools that you would ask that we as a growing business need of a bank. Most importantly, to me, it's a great personal relationship we have with Tom and John and our bankers.
It was the best thing we could have done in banking. Banking can be very cold. What the bank brings to us is that warm feeling when you come into the bank and people say, "Hi, Greg."
It's about being part of the community again, about being a name again, about having credit for who your business is instead of just being a number.
Naperville Bank and Trust. Bring it home.
Shop downtown and experience the vibrant, bustling center of Naperville. Over 100 shops, from longtime favorites to wonderful new additions. And after shopping, grab a bite to eat. With over 40 restaurants and places to enjoy a sweet treat too, there's something delicious for everyone. Day or night, come explore everything downtown Naperville has to offer.
So we're talking about the hardest part about business ownership, and Terrell, you spoke to staffing. I would say, hands down, that is the biggest challenge because you're managing people, which is always interesting. What are some of the hardest experiences that you have, or things that kind of stick in your mind? Or if someone were to ask you, what's the hardest thing about owning a business? What would you say?
It's one of the hardest and one of the greatest, I think, is that you think about it all the time. When you're at work, you're thinking about it. When you're at home, you're thinking about it. When you are trying to go to sleep, you're thinking about it. When you wake up, you start thinking about it. And one of the cool things then is you start to learn from outside influences. And you have to carry a notebook to write all that stuff down, because somebody might say something and you're like, oh yeah,
that's a great idea.
That's a great message, or that's a way to convey that, or that's something I haven't thought about. And sometimes one of the hard parts then is to be present sometimes when you're outside of work and not always thinking about that, being able to kind of shut that down a little bit. But I think it's also one of the great things, because that helps to drive and keep you going a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Susie?
Well, being a stay-at-home mom and manifesting a business out of kind of nothing, well, I would say my biggest challenges were my behavior, so establishing things that I needed to do every day, week, and every month to ensure my success. Also, my attitude or my mindset, just kind of replacing the negative self-talk with things that are serving my best interests. And the technique, what I say and do in front of a prospect, and how I act, and how I use decisive conversation to kind of get to a desired outcome or goal and find out if we're a right fit. All those were big challenges for me in learning those skills. So
it's like learning about the human condition. I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, you're working with people every day, and just like staff, no two people are the same. And so it's
I'm basically learning how to manage myself, right? If I can master that, then I can manage other people.
Then you're good. I'd like you to share what you're most proud of. Like, if you look back from the time of the concept of the idea until today, what are you most proud of?
Man, we got the doors open in 10 days. I was very happy about that. But and that they're still open. But just starting a business out of, because I just got the storefront. It'll be a year, February 9th. But I've been in business for almost 4 years. So like the wholesale stuff, the catering, the private cooking classes, and the private chefing has been incredible. And that's with minimal marketing, just using Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So, and being that guy, and hey, anybody know a chef that can cater? Yeah, I know a guy. And I was always that guy. So watching it evolve each year, because each year does get better. And I think that's the part I'm most proud about, the natural progression of how it goes. So being able to juggle 4 or 5 different revenue sources to help maintain what is, I guess, my ultimate goal to try to get there. Because not there yet, got a lot more to go. But it's just watching how everything kind of comes together and being able to execute it. Because sometimes, man, being able to pull off some of these things we do is like, wow, I can't believe we got through that weekend, and we did. And high fives for everybody, and then crack a bottle of champagne and get ready for the next week. So yeah, just being able to juggle all the different revenue sources, I think that's impressive sometimes.
Good.
It is. It's and like if I'm in Chicago and people are in Woodstock at a beer festival, and then we get done earlier and we go out there to see them. It's an hour drive, and then they're kicking butt, and you're like, man, all right, this is really good. This is scary because we got to do it again tomorrow. And now you're like, all right, should we go back now and start? It's just so many moving parts, and to be able to get it done is a tribute to the people that work with me or put up with me, I guess I should say.
To the visionary too. And one of the things, there are things that I have watched all three of you, and one of the things that you do, Terrell, is you are incredible with giving back to the community. That goes a long, long way. So if I were to say what I'm most proud of what you've done is how you've been able to give back, and I have something for all of you. But so Susie, what are you most proud of?
Well, I worked myself into an industry that's been pigeonholed and typecast. So what I love about my approach is that I offer a more holistic approach to events, especially for my corporate clients. The hardest part for me has been kind of changing the conversation from, or the mindset of somebody saying, oh, I want to hire something because it's fun, and to a conversation around, well, how can we leverage this to get more exposure and achieve a desired outcome for your marketing goal. So changing that conversation, and my ideal client would be somebody who's contacting me earlier on, refining the right event to achieve that marketing goal, and then my photo booth is just built into that marketing budget. So it's more of a collaboration.
Great.
To finding that success with each event. So.
And what I've watched you do that has been amazing is you take advantage of every opportunity to learn and to grow. And that is so important, especially like you said, you had no idea. And so when you mentioned earlier about the willingness to learn, you are a tireless learner. So I think that's something that I'm proud of when I see you work. So
thank you.
And Mark, what I'm most proud of when I've watched you grow your business is the integrity and the professionalism that you've brought not only to your business but to the industry as a whole. It's a wild west out there when it comes to health and fitness, and you have just hung on to the things that you know matter most and impact your clients most successfully. So you've done just a brilliant job with that. So really great. So when people talk about business ownership, we've talked about the myths, the facts, how hard it is. If someone were to come up to you and say, hey, I'm really interested in starting my own business, what piece of advice would you give them, Susie?
Well, I kind of touched on it earlier, having that, using their personality strengths that they are already existing. And I would say finding that right fit. I spent a lot of time researching and looking for the next thing for me. And so when I found it, I knew that it was going to be the right fit for me. Just from learning about myself, what my strengths were, working with a business coach and a career coach to help explore all the different possibilities that fit within my personality styles. And also, I would say it's important that you're doing it for yourself, because it requires a lot of hard work and persistence, so you really have to be doing it for you to be able to weather the storm.
Yeah, wonderful. Terrell?
Same thing. Biggest thing, because I do get asked that a lot. I don't know why people want to open a restaurant, but some of them do. And generally, it's always people who've never been in the industry. They want to open a business, and my advice is why do you want to do it, and then I could just give them a rundown of what a day is for me, and the biggest advice I could give them is just so it doesn't stop. Like you can go to work and you can go home and you can hang out with your family, and it's done when you're at a job. But when you own it, there's not really an off switch, especially at the beginning. You don't have that, not yet. You just have to, it constantly going. And if you get an idea at 3 a.m, somebody got to hear about it. So you're either waking up your wife next to you, or you're calling somebody. Nobody's up at 3 a.m, so you got to go kick it out just to see if it'll work. So it's a grind constantly, and it doesn't really let up. But not for a little while, Then you could take a breather, and then you're on to something else. So just always keep your mind clear as you possibly can. So that's the advice I would do. Because if your mind's open, then you can adapt to new ideas. And I mean, I learn a lot from the people that I work with.
Yeah.
Like just through conversation, or just people who own other business is not necessarily a cafe or a bakery or a caterer, just talking to a photographer or a bar owner or something like that. They might just say something and then it's like, well, you know what? I can translate that into things that I do, and nobody's ever done that before. So
that's great.
And it kind of helps and it kind of works because it's a different way to brand what you do. So
That's great. That's great. Mark, real quick, what do you
I
have?
think you have to be ready for not only the amount of the work, the amount of stress, the lack of sleep. I don't think a lot of people really realize, they hear about it, but I don't think they realize that's true. But then I think you need to have a coach, and you need to have a mentor, and you need to have, I have 4 that I kind of bounce ideas off of and work with. And without that, I think you're just struggling to even get things moving. So I think you have to have some help to get you prepared to do that.
That's great. This has been so inspiring. I knew you guys would be great. I wish you continued success on your businesses, and thank you for taking time out of your business to be here with me today. I know how challenging that can be, and we'll be right back. Thank you for joining us for Inside the Chamber. We hope you found the information in today's program valuable. Please join us again for our monthly programs. In the meantime, remember, when you're looking to shop or dine, think Chamber and visit naperville.net to support the Chamber of Commerce and our business community.